All right, Sunday, getting ready to fire up another episode of America's first and favorite two-wheel motorcycle talk and entertainment show, ShopTalk. We go live with this program every Sunday at 9 p.m. or just about. First across the line tonight, behind Rudy's Fairing. Good evening. Good to see you here. Robin Higginbottom, Jeremy Sather, Paul Adams. Hello from Ford City. God, it's good to be home. We've been on the road and running, man. It's good to see familiar names like Etna, Sharpsburg, Ford City, Katanning. Michael Woodyshek in the house. What's up? Good to see you, man. Salty Badger in the house. We got a fantastic show tonight. If you guys missed the many promos that we've been putting out, it is Digger Madness here in the house tonight. We're going to be talking about the first substantial custom motorcycle movement that came across the United States. And we have the honor of having one of the OGs with us, Mr. Dave Perewitz, tonight. And he's going to teach us, and you guys get to come along for the ride. You're in the sidecar. Check it out. Tony Tello in the house, Jamie Roberts, Bucyrus, Missouri, where the men are men and the cows are afraid. Tony Tello from Medford, Mass. Josh Collins, what's up, buddy? Bill Stevens in with us. Johnny Ringo, good evening from Murraysville. Tom Banks, number 84U, Pittsburgh, Sons of Speed Racer. And now, official timekeeper, flagman, all things in control. He's in control, Mark.
Absolute control.
Tom Banks running shit over there at Sons of Speed. Salty Badger diggers are awesome. I agree. Tell Heather that I should get to build one of these incredible machines because I got one in mind. Cut out from the herd already, actually. Rooster, love me some diggers. So yeah, we're about a minute out and we're going live with this episode.
You say digger?
Digger.
Damn near married her.
I said, how much do you digger? Oh, it's good to be back in Pittsburgh for a minute. So 52 seconds left. That's just enough time for you to kick back, relax, get a cold drink, and get ready for another episode of Shop Talk. Oh, I'm saying 52 seconds. We got 2 minutes. We got time. We got nothing but time. We got extra time. Behind Rudy's Fairing says, Heather, stop raining on my parade.
Said a damn word yet. You shut your mouth.
Tom Banks.
We're fighting.
King of Flames. He knows who's coming on this program. Oh, it's going to be a good show. I can tell. I have a sense for these things.
Hey, and I told him he could build the digger. He just has to use the donor we already have instead of getting a
Nope.
69.
1969 or earlier. Bobby Shackle in the house. One of our Pennsylvania guys. Dink Stevens, South Alabama. Bill Stevens, it's never good to be in Pittsburgh. What?
What is he on the dope?
What? That's for you.
Do we seriously have a whole nother minute? Are you kidding me?
A whole nother minute. Drew Woodford,
good Lord.
Digger. John Snigger, Diggers, nothing better. Zambiker, what's up, buddy? So many people we've met this year. This year has been absolutely... Curtis Hoffman in the house.
Curtis Hoffman?
Curtis Hoffman.
Okay, behind Rudy's Fairing, we're fighting.
We're on a roll.
Just for the record, we're fighting.
Hello
I'm
from
fighting
Florida,
with
Craig
Rudy.
Ferry.
Who are you fighting with?
Rudy.
Oh,
we're fighting.
I'm not hearing this, Heather. We didn't even start the show yet. You're fighting with somebody already?
Hey, he's
What
calling me a
happened?
party pooper. I said you could build a digger. You just have to use the iron head that we have.
It's gotta be pre-electric
Then I guess
start,
you don't get a digger.
or else you're a sissy. Wait, Dave can tell us. Dave will tell you all about
Whatever.
it. That's why we asked him to be on here
We're
tonight.
going to get the load on here in a little while. So everybody lighten up a little, Francis.
You said Francis.
Did I?
You did.
Well, it's these new teeth.
So
All right, man.
what motor was in Corey's bike?
8 seconds left. Corey's besides the point. Corey is custom motorcycle royalty. 8 seconds. Let's go live with this episode of Shop Talk. Heather.
Did you say argument talk or shop talk?
There we go. Okay, scooter tramps and chopper jockeys all across the land. It is almost exactly 9 p.m., as close as we've been in quite a while. And that
Don't
means
get
it's,
used to it.
That means it's time for an episode of Shop Talk. I'm your host from Cycle Source Magazine, Chris Callen, joined by my ever faithful crew.
Who?
What's up, crew? Look, I'm going to give
Can
you guys
I
an
get an
applause.
amen?
Right off the bat, you're just getting praise for being here.
Well, it's good. It's good to be here.
It's good to be here.
Ray S., the bot, really a bot? No, it's not. Unfortunately, every time we type a message like this, hi, it sends it out as a bot. It's ridiculous.
What
It's
is he-
actually us.
What is he talking about?
Well, there's
On
for a minute there, I thought Mark was technologically challenged, but
well,
well, I mean, he is, but that's besides the point.
let's not. It's the weed.
oh my goodness, it's going to be a long one. Yeah, it is going to be a good show. And someone put up there just a minute ago that they know it's going to be good. They hit the like button already, and all of you guys should do that too. If you dig what we're doing here, hit the like and share button, set your alerts, help push the mantra of Shop Talk.
Sharing
Shop
is
Talk.
caring.
My,
Bill Redensel is here. You actually left Belize,
Oh my God.
My alter
and you're
ego.
here. I love it.
My alter ego said we're getting the band back together.
They're what?
We're getting the band back together.
Oh, Brian. Big Brian's in the house. That's a good night.
Yes.
So I talked to him just the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, Brian is living out his second childhood with an art project he's on right now,
Yep.
and it's gonna be so badass
I
when
know.
everybody sees it.
He said he's determined to get it done.
Right on. So looking forward to tonight's talk. Like I said, this is gonna be. Oh, look, Rob Nussbaum's here. Martha Doss.
Flannel in the house.
This is going to be all about diggers. We're going to learn a bunch about diggers, but I need your questions. So whenever we get into this, don't leave us on the own. I got a million questions myself. I'm looking to learn some stuff too. But Shop Talk, in case this is the first time you're watching.
Where have you been?
Where the hell you been? We do this every Sunday, 9 p.m. on the East Coast, and it's a little bit of entertainment. We bring in a guest or two. We look at some cool motorcycle pictures.
Jazzy hands.
We start the whole thing off with
Jazzy hands.
Done news.
Done news.
The Shop Talk World Report is brought to you by Law Tigers. Get the compensation you deserve and get back on the road with Law Tigers.
Okay, a couple things real quick tonight. This comes in from MPN. Industry veterans Marilyn Stemp and Steve Peel appointed to Sturgis Motorcycle Museum and Hall of Fame's board. This is they're moving a lot of stuff out there, huh? The museum. I'm hearing big things from the inside about possible expansion. They've definitely powered up their roster. Good for them. Super excited for everybody there. And I think Marilyn. I mean, of course, Steve Peel was a great addition. But Marilyn, I think, is going to be.
Oh, yeah.
She's going to be a powerhouse for them. So super stoked for that. Congratulations from all of us here.
We may have to skip the news. Like, the questions are already coming in for Dave about diggers.
Seriously?
You better go fast. Like, they are not waiting, dude.
Okay. How fast can I do the news tonight?
What
Harley
news?
Davidson of Fredericksburg closes.
Yeah.
Triumph Racing and Evan Frey part ways. Well, you sons of bitches, make up your mind. Fast or not.
Oh, that was good.
Here's something we have to focus on for just a minute. CODA ABC Territory News brings us the information that Sturgis voters no on city manager, no on flat track race. So this was a big topic back and forth for quite a few weeks. Rapid City, South Dakota. Sturgis election results came in late Tuesday with poll workers burning the midnight oil and casting the votes. In the end, it wasn't a close race.
No.
People of Sturgis in a vote 844 to 622 voted to eliminate the city manager position from city government. But the big deal there was that they voted down the TT race that they were talking about putting through the city streets.
You know, and when we first heard about it, we were like, yes, that would be so rad. And then we heard the deal.
Yeah, the details.
And it was
Yeah.
like, no way, wah, wah. Like, it was a horrible deal.
it was going to end up costing the city an awful lot of money.
Bazillions of
So
dollars.
I think,
Politics got involved.
oh, dude, and if they could have rearranged it, you know, that would have been a different story altogether.
Yeah.
But it was going to be a resource hog for the city, and
Mm-hmm.
the city doesn't need that. I mean, the city needs partners.
Yep.
In a system like that, but
Yeah.
just my personal opinion about that.
Heather,
Nope.
Brian said that he needs you to step back to your roots, and it's not digger tonight, it's digga. Because of Dave.
Digga, come on, Heather.
I don't know why
Brian
I
said,
don't
"Get on
talk like anybody else
You
in my
yelled at
family.
me today, Mark. We were watching the TV show Wicked Tuna today.
Oh, boy.
And I said Gloucester because that's where
it's
one of
Gloucester.
that was where one of the boats was from. I thought she was going to come across the room and slap me in the mouth.
I honestly don't know why I don't sound like anybody in my family, because they all have very heavy accents.
Well, you have been in.
I
away
never
from there
had
for a
it though,
minute.
even when I lived there.
Oh, yeah.
I've never
I
had
guess
it.
I never really remember you talking like that. So
Yeah.
I remember when she gets drunk or angry.
it comes out.
Yeah, it does.
The Northeast comes out.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Hey, man, so listen, we're going to get right to it, but real quick, we're going to take a look at what is one of the most amazing examples of blending Digger's past and Digger's future in a bike that we featured on the Friends Throwdown with Mr. Cory Ness. So don't go anywhere. We're going to look at a cool bike. We're going to come back and get Mr. Dave Perewitz on, and we're going to answer some of your questions. You're watching Shop Talk.
Out of Focus is brought to you by Garage Build. Submit your build, share your passion. Powered by Dennis Kirk.
I'm Cory Ness from Arlen Ness Motorcycles from Dublin, California. Well, this is my latest build, my digger build. I started with one of our chassis that we made over 40 years ago. It was still brand new, just sitting around our shop. So that was the start of the inspiration of the product. I haven't built a digger for quite some time. I wanted to build a digger, and we had one of our old digger frames, happened to be a Sportster, which was the last one that was laying around, but it's over 40 years old. And so that's where we started. And otherwise, I haven't built a Sportster, a custom Sportster, especially in a mini, since I was probably a kid. So it's kind of cool to do it again. Use a lot of stuff that was laying around the shop. A lot of stuff. Didn't need to get too many things. We just modified existing product or things we had, or tank shells, or even this old handlebar master cylinder, something we used to sell about 20 years ago. There's no front brake. The handlebar master cylinder actually activates the rear brake. We did it that way. We wanted to make it less is more. We're very spindly, very lightweight. When we did these chassis all those years ago, we used 7/8 chromoly tubing, and it just kind of leans things out. Still strong chassis, but just better lines and just more more slim, and I don't know. It's something my dad loved. I love it. This kind of styling is kind of what from our soul. We make our living off of making touring bikes and soft-tailed stuff look nice, but this is where our heart is. One cool part of this too is the tank strip. It's one of my favorite parts of the bike, and it's only a tank strip. But in most cases, when you do a tank strip, it's usually something that's made out of some thin, flat aluminum or something. And we use tubing and rolled the tubing, and it just kind of gives it that, roundness, curvaceousness everywhere from here to here. It's kind of a nice tie, and I was real excited when it came back from the chrome shop just to kind of, get the thing on there. The battery's down there, but it's laid down on its side. But otherwise, everything's wide open, which is kind of what I wanted to do. Then as far as the Springer, we didn't have any of our old Ness Springers. That was a part of our digger heritage. So we started with an old factory style looking aftermarket Springer and started cutting it up, rounding it up. With the tanks that were drooping down low, if we would have kept the spring set and tree where it belongs, it actually would be up here. So it was like that would look ridiculous if it was way up here and this is going the opposite way. And I also wanted to run 21 inches front and rear. When we made these frames 40 years ago, they were made for a 16 or 18 inch wheel. So the 21 inch diameter would not fit. So we added on to the the axle plates. I already had this Sportster motor already polished and diamond cut for another project, so I stole that and decided to pop it into here. So that's why it was an 883 that I bought, like I said, 20 years ago. The seat, Christine LaPera and Bob did the seat for me. Did a great job. Scott from Riff Raff did my paint job, which he did an incredible job. When he came back, the graphics obviously came all the way down here, and my little rear pad was much wider, and I didn't want to put I don't want to cover up the graphic, so I narrowed it up to fit. That's why it's so skinny. I've never seen a rear pad this skinny in my life. The exhaust is kind of fun. I wanted, once again, less is more, so I didn't want anything to show on this side. So tried to figure out how to wrap it around and not have have fairly, I'm not gonna say they're equal length because they're not, but they're not bad. I think my dad would absolutely love it. I think he would. And I know it. I mean, this is his shit right here. This is absolutely. I'm Cory Ness from Ness Motorcycles, and you're watching Grease and Gears TV.
All right, so much for me running a flawless show. So much to say about that motorcycle, but before I go saying all the wrong things, let's bring in the man of the hour, Mr. Dave Perewitz. How we doing tonight, Dave?
We're doing great.
Right on.
How you guys doing?
We're good, man. We're good. I'm a little road weary from being on the road, but other than that, I mean, I've got to see in the last month, I've got to see more cool motorcycles and cool places. It's been an incredible trip.
Well, good. That's what it's all about, Chris.
So let's start off talking just for a minute about Cory's bike, because I thought, as far as somebody who grew up in digger heritage, his blend of stuff over the history of his family's involvement in custom motorcycling with that bike, I thought was absolutely killer. And I love the fact that you could see how excited he was when he was talking about that bike.
That bike is awesome. I can't wait to see it in person. And I noticed that Cory I think he started to get a little choked up, but you're right. Alan would have loved that.
Yeah,
Alan would have been so proud to see Cory build that bike. That definitely is his heritage, and I mean, that's where the diggers all started, from out there with Alan.
Yeah, when he had said my dad would be into this, you can obviously tell he was a bit choked up. just to watch his enthusiasm, you can see that's where his history is. And let me tell you, the history of all this, the people that are watching right now, and having you here and not doing Shop Talk for a minute, this is a pretty cool show. So
yeah.
Well, and that
Go
ahead.
Absolutely. Diggers were part of my early heritage, and it was Alan was truly my mentor. And when he started building that stuff, we were all running to the magazine store to get the latest motorcycle magazines to see what was the latest and greatest from the Bay Area. Whether it was Alan or Sims or a couple other guys from back then. But and when I really became friends with Alan, him and I originally met in 1974 in Detroit. We were at a big show. It was called Detroit, was the name of the show. And that was kind of the start of my long-term friendship with Alan, and him kind of mentoring me in all this stuff. And the digger style was awesome. I did lots and lots of diggers. I mean, that's all we were building back then for quite a few years. And every time Alan would come out with a new product or a new innovative style, he would call me and we'd talk about it. And a week later, I'd have the new parts. You know, whenever he had something new, I was the first one to get all that stuff. And, you know, to this day, I still have a pile of old Ironhead Sportster necks sitting out back of my old shop from all the front sections that we used to do. You know, we did one after the next, and, you know, we arc welded them all. Nobody had a TIG welder back then. We would just arc weld them up, and, you know, we built some rigids, but most of them were front section bikes.
That, you know, that's one of the funny things that we keep talking about with this is that, you know, we grew up in the era where it was the back section we were welding on all the time. We were cutting shit apart. So we have piles and piles of the rear half of the motorcycle. Yeah. And the more that we got to start to pay attention and learn something about the diggers, the front section was, I mean, that's how people addressed it. You know, oh, that's an original Ness front section.
Yeah, I mean, the front sections, Alan had 3 different front sections. He had a full front section, then he had like a gooseneck, a short gooseneck front section, then he had a low bend gooseneck front section. And like I say, we did lots of all of them.
So I know Dwayne Ballard was on here a minute ago, and I'm hoping that he's still around because I want to go to this motorcycle particularly. Tell me about this bike.
That bike was nicknamed Needle Nose. Bob Klock from Street Chopper, who was my very good friend. And, I mean, Bob was responsible for putting a lot of us guys on the map back then. I built that bike. And that was probably one of the, now that has a low bend front section on it, and with a rocket tank, and that was probably one of the first rocket tanks that we did, and that thing was shot in Daytona, and I sold it. This is kind of a funny story. I sold it to another friend of mine back here that I ended up doing a couple more diggers for. Anyways, he wanted to change the paint, so I painted it blue with all overlays, and he crashed it soon after. And I mean, he twisted it up pretty good. And I had the Springer, and the Springer was pretty much junk. And I made a container to hold my firewood next to my wood stove out of that old
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I think it's still out back somewhere. But yeah, that was a very popular style. You know, they were almost all Magneto Ironhead 900 motors. Everything was pre-69. The fender rails, I was making those fender rails. They were one of my products back then. And the X motor mount, you can see the X motor mount. So I was doing X motor mounts and you know, various other small products back then. But I mean, that particular bike, that style right there, I mean, we rode the shit out of those things. I mean, nobody could afford to have 2 bikes back then. So whatever we had, we rode, you know, an old shitty drum brake on the back. But, you know, we had a lot of fun with them.
That's one of the things I wanted to ask you about, because I was just recently interviewing one of the guys, and they were talking about how you guys would ride these things to Sturgis. And I mean, I hope I'm not getting soft in my older age, but I cannot imagine. Listen, first of all, let's go back to the picture. I cannot imagine riding that motorcycle in those boots the whole way to Sturgis. I'm telling you right now, you were a bad dude.
Well, you know, we were a lot younger then, Chris, and we didn't know any better. I mean, you rode because you wanted to ride and you loved motorcycles, and they vibrated and shook, and that was part of it. You didn't know any better.
Well, before I get off of this picture, I want to give some props out because Mr. Dwayne Ballard is still here.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a number of years ago, him and I think it was Cuddy Noteboom at the time, built a pair of diggers, and one was called Funkenstein. I think that was Dwayne's, and Cuddy built one that looked like, it reminds me of this motorcycle. It was called the Pink Taco. And I remember.
Yeah, I know. I remember both bikes.
Do you?
Yeah.
I remember when those first came out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, and Dwayne, he's kept that Honda 4-cylinder digger thing alive.
Yeah.
We built actually.
Dwayne said Pink Taco was his.
I was actually going to say his was Pink Taco.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dwayne.
Yeah. And what an amazing bike that
was. That's it. The Plum Smuggler was Cuddy's. Yeah. I had them mixed up because Dwayne had built another bike called the Funkenstein. So it was Plum Smuggler was Cuddy's and Pink Taco was Dwayne's.
I just dropped a link to Pink Taco in your
dude, and what an amazing bike that. I mean, Dwayne can build a damn bike, man. The dude's amazing.
Well, and that's what I wanted to say to give the dude a little bit of credit because when it first came out, I have to admit to you, I looked at these two bikes and I was like, "Oh, dude, what in the hell?" Now you have to remember, before I get a bunch of hate about this, I grew up with Pennsylvania mountain choppers and the whole East Coast like chopper bling thing, and this was Dwayne really was the one that kind of introduced me into this style, and I started looking into it from there and really got into it. But it was because of these bikes that they built.
Yeah, and that was like one of the first new style diggers I think that became like iconic.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like back with Dave and Arlen and stuff, and then Dwayne put that thing out. Like wow,
because it had really been gone for a while.
Yeah,
it really had.
Yeah, they lost their style or something. Maybe style changed.
We gotta figure out how we get from. I gotta go back to this picture outside of Cycle Fab, and this is what the front of the bike shop looked like back in the day, right? I mean, there's nothing really far out custom there like you guys are getting ready to put down with this. How do you get from here to some of the bikes that you guys would end up being known for?
Well, I mean, that picture right there was in the 70s, and we were all meeting to ride to Laconia. I know that I was on a Sportster digger in that ride, and those were all the local guys that came to ride up to Daytona with us. And, it's funny, there's a couple of guys in the background of the picture that are still good friends of mine that, I see often. But, it's funny, Jody and I have looked that picture over a number of times, and I can't pick out too many guys that I remember. I mean, I'm sure they were all guys I knew, but it's been a long time.
Now, you said you're getting ready to ride to Sturgis in that picture, to Laconia. Was this the year that you guys got snowed out?
No. This, as you can see, these guys with no shirts on. It was probably a pretty hot weekend up there.
Right on, man.
Yeah, that was my old store in Brockton.
Rob Nussbaum just asked that. Actually, he said, "Is that Brockton?"
Yeah. That was my second store in Brockton.
Let's see. I'm trying to make sure I get through some of the questions too, because
there's so many. Like somebody wanted to know what is a digger? What's the definition of a digger?
A digger is a long, stretched out, slammed on the ground, skinny Harley. It could be a Honda,
just the frame trajectory, pretty much.
Long, stretched out, thin, slammed. Thin tank like that. That pretty much describes it. This bike right here in this picture, I believe, was one I did for a guy in Akron, Ohio.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tim Stoll has a question for you. Did you prefer springers or girders on diggers?
Always springers, because I always use Ness springers.
Okay.
On pretty much most everything, we used Ness springers.
So I have a question from a structural perspective, starting to play around with frames and stuff myself. Did you guys do anything special to be able to use 7/8 tubing? And I mean, was it wall thickness? Was there something that you were doing with gusseting to reinforce it or something? Or you just put them together the way it was and went like hell?
Yeah, I mean, those front sections and the frames, the 7/8, that's heavy wall. That's 1/4-inch wall tubing. It's heavy stuff. It's chrome moly. I honestly never, ever heard of one breaking. The stuff bent when you got in a bad accident. But the bike that I'm building right now for Born Free, I'm using an early Ness rubber mount frame with 7/8 tubing.
Right on. Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. Your Born Free build, you've been going at it, man. We're all following along. That's going to be sick. You excited to get out there?
Yeah, I've been really putting in some time on that. I got a tight schedule. The thing is, it's S&S 124 twin cam with a Baker 6-speed, but it's fuel injected with a fly-by-wire throttle. I've never built a bike before with fuel injection and no throttle cable, so it's a whole learning process, believe me. Jeff Zielinski has been really helpful to me with that. He makes a special wiring harness with a Thundermax for that application. So as soon as I get the bike painted and partially together, I'm going to get down to Jeff's for a weekend, and Jeff's going to wire it all for me. It's coming along really well. It's been quite a few years since I built a full ground-up custom for myself. I've built them for everybody else, but, never really had time to do one for myself, which this is going to be for the Born Free show, and then this is the bike I'm going to ride in Sturgis this year.
Right on.
Yeah, right on.
Right on. I want to give one more minute of love to Dwayne Ballard and Cuddy Noteboom for those bikes.
Oh, yeah, dude.
There's a picture of the two of them together.
And again, they came back, and I think they sort of brought them back, if you want my opinion. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
now, have you ever seen another digger with a similar style?
A similar style as those two?
Like with the tank all built in like that and stretched all the way to the end?
I can remember. Jeez. I can remember some bikes when I was younger from the drag race scene that were like that, but I can't.
Well, you know who had one almost identical to that was Steve Ellington.
Oh, no kidding.
The first year that we went to Daytona, when Alan and Barry and Steve came to Daytona, Steve had a purple digger with a almost identical style gas tank like that.
Tim Stahl says also Bob Drone built one.
Yeah, Bob Drone had one. It was a little more pointed in the back. I could picture it completely, the one Bob built,
Okay, so a bunch of people were asking how many miles could you get on one of those little tanks? And I'm assuming they mean the little Sportster that we had up. So let's put that back up, the little Sportster tank.
Well, whether it was a cut-down Sportster tank like that or a rocket tank, they all held about 1.5 gallons, give or take. So, it wasn't a lot of miles, 50 miles was pushing it.
Rob Nussbaum says, did you ever use the glasswork tanks on those?
No, we always use steel tanks. I don't think I ever used a fiberglass tank.
Yeah. And that was, we got the privilege also later in the show. We're going to be showing the feature of Jeff Zielinski's digger. They were both Friends Throwdown builds this year, Cory's and Jeff's. Undoubtedly the two best bikes of the show, even though you're not supposed to vote that way. But Jeff's had what's reportedly probably Munn's last tank.
Yeah, it could very well be. I got a couple of tanks from Munn when he stopped building them also. So I'm sure it was one of the last ones for sure. I tried to talk Munn into, doing a couple more tanks for me, but, he said he's retired and he's not doing any more tanks.
So can you tell us a little bit about that? Because most people that are in the know, you mentioned that Jeff got that tank and they almost fall off their feet. Like where did the whole legend of that gas tank and that fabricator, where's that all start?
Well, that tank, Alan got together with Bob Monroe, and that's Munn. And Munn was a fantastic fabricator from the Bay Area, and he did lots of stuff for Alan. And so they came up with that tank design, and Munn had made patents and started producing them. I mean, I can't tell you how many of those tanks I bought over the years, when Alan was doing them. And Munn he's a cool guy. Like I say, he's retired now, but I reached out to him maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and he made me, I think I bought probably half a dozen tanks from him. And then I called him to, get a couple more, and he said, nope, I'm all done.
So I got to read this comment out loud on the air. It's from Cocaine. He says, want to know what kind of dude DP is. Called him 2 weeks ago because I found a Crazy Frank's fender and seat 9 miles away from his shop. Asked him if it was okay for the dude to drop off at his place, so I knew it was legit. He asked me where it was at, told him Kingston, and he immediately offers to go pick it up. Long story short, I'm getting my lifetime bucket list DP flame job. Tell him Minnesota Joe will call him this week. DP and JP are great people. How about that?
Yeah. In fact, it's at the Sandblaster now, getting the many coats of paint off of it.
Let's see. There's a couple other things.
I got, knowing like the digger and the whole 9 yards and the history and all that stuff, being a painter and a fabricator and a body guy, I say this multiple times. I think maybe the last time you were on, we got into this. Knowing what you did and how you did it over the years, the respect level from anybody in this industry that does paint work, dude, you are a fucking king.
Oh.
What you did back in the day, now it's so much easier. The product, it's so much easier for us to pull off these crazy paint jobs and all that. Man, you have nothing but respect from 99%, and that 1% that doesn't is a complete asshat.
Anybody that's touched a gun.
I've said before, I want to come up there, I want you to draw flames on my arm, then I want to go get them painted, just to say.
Go get them tattooed.
Or get them tattooed.
Chris will do the tattoo.
Just to say, that.
Well, I did that with one of the hamsters, Craig, from Ohio. I drew flames on his arm for him, and he had him tattooed on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like that would be like he's saying, a bucket list of painting, a tank. For Christ's sake, I want the flames on me,
so
for Christ's
cool.
sake. But yeah, I mean, the respect level, and again, knowing you all these years we've known you, you are one of the nicest, most down to earth people. There's never an ego. There's never a time where you don't stop and say hello. If you're in a conversation and somebody's walking by. Like, again, I can't, Heather had posted before, to call you a friend to say, "Oh, dude, I know DP really well," is an honor. You know what I mean?
Well, thanks, Mark.
You know, it's truly an honor.
Hey, and I want to know something. Like, even coming up in printing over the years, like, I used to go to my printer every month with the finished pages, and I would run them through a wax machine and then fix them to an illustration board, and they'd put them into a big camera to make plates from. And all that shit happens now. You press a button.
Yeah.
Do you ever sit back, Dave, and like, using the material now, and the processes are so much easier, everything's so much faster? Do you ever sit there and go, son of a bitch?
Well, yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the difference is night and day with the products that we have and the equipment, you know, and everything involved, you know, but, you know, still to do a quality job, you still got to put the time in.
What's the difference in, I mean, obviously I was too young to paint. I really didn't start painting until I was in my early 20s. What's the difference in the time factor of a overall paint job using the old with, you know, the enamels and crap like that up to these super fast drying clears? And I mean, is it that big? Like I said, I never did one back then. I don't know.
Well, we were using lacquers, you know, that was it.
Yeah.
And, you know, they dried pretty fast, but, you know, the quality, it took a lot more work to get the quality to look like. I mean, there was nothing that didn't need to get buffed.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you could do a really nice job, but, you know, everybody buffs stuff and just the equipment. I mean, we used to buff paint jobs. I'd have to have a guy sitting in a chair holding the piece while we held a 10-pound buffer, you know, to buff the stuff. You know, it was crazy, you know, and the poor guy sitting in the chair would be
getting
covered
blasted.
with
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, wait a minute. You mean you don't have to do it that way, you son of a bitch?
You mean like I used to make you do all the time?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back and talk about a couple more of these questions. I'm going to put another shot of one of your bikes up, but we had a question come in from Steve Nelson. He said, do you normally run same size wheels and tires front and back on a digger?
No, you never, ever. The only one that ever, Alan did a few bikes with 18s on the front and back, and he there wasn't too many. There was only one or two that he ever did 21s on front and back. But traditionally, they had a 16, a 15, or a 16. Like this bike in this picture, it's got a 15-inch American mag on the back, and it's got an 18 American mag on the front. That particular bike was, I really loved that bike, and I built that for a customer, and eventually he sold it to a guy, and I think it's in a collection right now in North Carolina.
This bike, honestly, man, these are the kind of motorcycles that ruined me as a kid. Like, seriously, yeah. I built models. I snuck every copy Easy Rider that I could, like, because to me, as a kid, I didn't know the difference between chopper, digger, bob, or any of that shit like that. But anything with a diamond tank and a big long front end, I was all about it. But tell me, what are the wheels? What's the brand of wheels that are in this picture?
Those are Americans. Those are American mags. Those were magnesium too. Those originally were for dragsters. Those are race car wheels. You know, they'd put those fronts on. Yeah. You know, some of the gases, and actually the rears they'd put on some gases too. But those were originally race car wheels.
And that's what I thought. I just saw a picture that it's actually Jeff Zielinski's next bike that he's building, and he had a set of wheels on that looked like this, and I just took for granted. I was like, hey, what are those? Are those Hillebrand wheels? You know, because I had some buddies that ran some shit like that, and he said that they were newer V-Rod wheels. They're making V-Rod wheels that look like these now.
Yeah, Jeff told me that. I'm not really familiar with what. I'd have to see him, but yeah, he just told me the other day that the wheels he was running were V-Rod wheels.
Yeah, I'm having a couple of people text me requesting that Chris does his Dave Perewitz imitation voice
Mark!
through the whole rest of the show.
I have no Dave Perewitz. No.
Wow.
They said it would be awesome. It'd be an honor.
No. You're screwing with me because I do Heather's whole family.
Yeah, he does. He does my whole family.
Oh, he does,
thinks
too.
I
Let
talk
me tell
funny.
you.
I don't know what he's. I don't know.
It pisses her mother off.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh.
So what can you tell us about this motorcycle?
Well, that was in front of my very first store. That bike, when I finished it, we rode that. I rode that one to Laconia one year, and I didn't have it long. Like I say, I sold it to a customer. It was pre-sold when I was building it, but yeah, it was this is a perfect example of a Ness digger right here. Ness front end, Ness frame, tank, oil tank, the whole deal. Pipe. That pipe was called the Kenny Davis header, and Kenny Davis built those for Arlen.
And that was Arlen's axle plates and everything too, right?
Say that again?
That was Arlen's axle plates too, right? That's what Cory was talking about on the one that he just did.
Did he sell a
absolutely.
kit? Did he sell like a kit of all that, or like could you buy like a whole kit from Arlen?
Well, no, he didn't sell a kit. You bought everything individually, but I was buying so much stuff. In fact, that was my first store that I opened in 1975. And when I opened that store, Arlen sent me, I think, like $2,500 worth of free stuff. He said, "Listen, I know you're getting started.
Right on.
And here, I'm sending you a whole pallet load of stuff. And when you sell it, just send me the money." And that was really, that was such a cool deal. And like I say, my place was the Digger Central. On Saturdays, anybody that wanted to build a digger came to me on a Saturday to buy all the parts. Yeah, it was a really fun time.
So Tim Stoll is asking. There's question after question from Tim Stoll. And when he's not asking questions, he's offering up parts he has for sale. He apparently has a set of those 12-spoke wheels that he wants me to buy. He says, "Dave, does that bike have Performance Machine 12 spokes on it?"
No.
No.
Performance Machine didn't. Performance Machine made those wheels in the early 90s for only a couple of years. I'm going to say 90 to maybe 94. Performance Machine made those wheels, and they were aluminum. But previous to that, they were all made by American, and they were all magnesium.
Drew Woodford says, "Tell us about the nuts and bolts of building back then. Buy a Sportster, cut the down tubes, slug the joints, no paint booth. They want to know about the scene back in the day."
Well, there's a great picture. I don't know if Jody sent it to you. It was my first shop that we built behind my father's house. And there's a picture of probably 4 or 5 diggers in the works sitting outside the shop. My brother-in-law had a Triumph, so we adapted a Sportster front section to a Triumph frame.
Oh.
And then there was, maybe a Rigid, and then there was a couple of front section bikes. And like I say, we just cut them with a hacksaw. We never had any power tools to speak of. We'd weld them up with an old Lincoln coffin welder.
Buzzbox.
Tombstone welder.
Yeah.
As far as chrome nuts and bolts, you take a handful of nuts and bolts and you bring them to the chrome shop and hope that you had the right stuff. And my God, I can't begin to tell you how many hacksaw blades I went through cutting bolts We didn't have die grinders back then or anything. As far as paint, I had a little teeny paint booth in my first shop, and we made it happen. I brazed a lot of stuff, and we worked on gas tanks. We either gas welded it or we brazed it, and that was and you couldn't buy you couldn't buy the stuff that you can buy today, not even remotely close. You had to make half the stuff or modify something else to make it fit.
Well, that was, when you started talking about the nuts and bolts just recently, I got to sit down with one of the Shadley brothers, and they were telling me the story about how he, at the time there was, no Gardner Westcott, you couldn't go to Ace like we do, and how spoiled we are for that. He said that he had built over the years his own selection of chrome nuts and bolts by doing them. Every time he would get something done for a build, he'd have 4 or 5 extra made of everything that he was doing, and he eventually had this incredible selection.
Yeah, me and Mark used to go to the same chrome shop together. And, when I, at my first shop, when Mark, the first few bikes that Mark built, he'd come over to my place, and we'd work on stuff. He'd come over and help me with my stuff, and Paul would come over, and Paul was like 13 years old, and we'd send him out to get us coffee and drinks and stuff with the truck. He didn't even have a license back then. That's how long I've been, friends with the Shadleys. It was not, you really had to. It was a stretch to build custom bikes back then.
Yeah.
So, Dave, I didn't know this until yesterday when I was doing some homework on finding some pictures of your bikes, and 2 of the guys just mentioned it. I didn't know that you did your own engraving.
Well, no, I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I had... you want to hear something crazy? From 1979 to 1981, I had 4 full-time engravers working for me.
Wow. That's why they're saying it then. In the comments, it says Dave was also the king of engraved parts.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Drag Specialties used to send pallet loads of, literally, trucks used to pull up and dump off 2-3 pallets.
No shit.
Of parts for us to engrave. Mustang. Back then, Mustang sold all kinds of stuff, and I used to do all the engraving for Mustang. I did lots of engraving for CCI, plus customer stuff, lots and lots of customer stuff.
That's crazy.
Well, that makes sense as to why I read that yesterday, but you had 4 full-time. How did you find 4 engravers that were that talented right there?
Well, I'll tell you
did you import them?
Because Providence, Rhode Island, which is only 40 miles from me, between here and Providence was the biggest place in the country for costume jewelry.
Wow.
And all these engravers worked at these jewelry factories engraving costume jewelry.
Okay.
That's how I was able to find these guys.
John over here says he thinks he probably owns most of your engraving now.
Yeah. Then Tim Stahl says...
John?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. John's got quite a collection of my stuff, believe me.
Well, John, we want to come see your collection.
So, everybody get ready. Get your drool bib on, because damn.
Dude, right?
So, I want to talk about this because, as the digger movement went on, like things got really, really exotic. You guys started putting blowers and shit on bikes. Tell me about that.
Okay, you want me to talk about this bike?
Yeah.
Okay, originally I built that bike for a guy in Connecticut around 1976 maybe. And he only kept it for about a year, and then he came to me and he wanted to sell it. So I had a customer that wanted me to do one like that. So a guy named Mike Estabrook. So he ended up buying it. And then Mike wanted me to redo the whole thing. That was in 78. So I redid that whole thing in 78. And actually, we put that bike in the very first Harley show in Daytona in 78. Now there was, no, it wasn't. No, it was the first Harley show was 78. I had a digger. I think that maybe that needle nose bike or one similar to that I had in the Harley show, and Alan had one of his bikes in there. Well, Alan won the show, and he got this beautiful bronze sculpture was the prize. The following year, I built that. I put that bike in, and I won the show. And I got a leather jacket. He got this beautiful bronze, but I got a leather jacket, which I still have. It's still out in my garage. But anyways, it was a great bike.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It was, let me tell you, it was a bear to start. It was kickstart only. And it had a downdraft Weber carburetor. So it was an electric fuel pump. So you had to get it running for the electric fuel pump to work. So as long as you poured gas in the carburetor, you know, if you held your breath, it would fire. But yeah, it was a pretty crazy. It was probably one of the most uncomfortable bikes I ever rode.
Okay, so I have a question.
Look at it, though.
God,
it's
dude, that thing
beautiful.
But it sure was
fabulous.
cool.
The paintwork is unbelievable.
Oh, the paint, everything's engraved. The mufflers are engraved.
Yeah. How many bikes overall do you think you built in your lifetime?
How many bikes have I built?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I've been asked that question a million times, and the only way I can relate to it is magazine covers. I've had approximately 150 magazine covers.
Holy shit.
Wow.
From, you know, pretty much every magazine that there was, every motorcycle magazine that there was. And I figure magazine articles versus covers is probably about 10 to 1.
Oh, no shit.
You know, so if I've had 10 bikes, every 10 bikes I've had in a magazine, at least one has made the cover. So, I mean, that's 1,500 bikes right there.
Yeah. Wow. What a list.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So,
You know, it's actually hard for me to believe when I put those figures together. I'm like, geez, I don't remember building 1,500 bikes. You know. But it's been a long time.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you just mentioned kick only on that sports. Now, Chris and I are going back and forth. He wants to build a digger. We have a 75 iron head.
Tell her, Dave. Just tell.
I
look,
said if he
I'm
wants to
gonna bring
build
the
a
picture up.
digger, then he can use the 75 iron head. But he's like, no, it's got to be 69 because it's got to be, or earlier because it's got to be kick only.
You don't understand. Let me pull up the picture of this
He's got
thing.
a perfectly good iron
Wait,
head ready and waiting
just
for
wait.
him.
I just look at this motorcycle.
Dave, help me out here.
It's all about this side of the bike, though. It's just not going to look.
So are you
it's
going to
not
tell
gonna-
Cory Ness he was wrong?
No, I'm not going to tell Cory Ness is wrong. He's just not building what I consider to be a traditional digger, and I'm hoping Dave is going to help me out on this.
Dave, we have an iron head. Help me out.
I mean, you know what, Heather? You can buy an early motor for such short money.
You're not helping, Dave.
Yeah, buddy.
I thought we were friends.
Really? I mean, you can buy early 900cc motors. I mean, you can pick them up all day long for $500, you know?
My man. Listen,
And you know, that would be a really good start for you.
that check is in the mail.
You know, I've got a digger that I'm building. I've been working on just collecting parts for quite a few years, but it's going to be a 100% authentic early Ness digger. I've got a one-off single loop frame that Alan built for a friend of mine, in 1978, 79. He never used it. I've got the springer that goes with it. I've got all of Alan's parts that are original to that era. I've got a 68 motor that the cases are all polished. The bottom end's done. The cylinders and heads are hexed. They're all chromed. I've got most of it all engraved already. So I've been picking away at it for a few years now. And when I get time to slip it in, I'm going to build it, and it'll be 100% authentic Ness digger.
Right on.
Is it too early to say that we want to give you another cover? I'm just saying.
Well, I can't guarantee when it's going to be done, though.
That's okay. We'll still be here. There will still be a cover for you.
Hey,
okay, I'll remember that.
Dave, while we still have you on here, do you mind if we take just a couple minutes? I want to look at Jeff Zielinski's bike and come back and talk to you about it before we cut you loose. Will you stay with us?
Okay.
All right, man. Let's take a look at this. We'll be right back. You're watching Shop Talk here on the Dennis Kirk Motorcycle Studio. Stick around. Maybe we're not watching
Autofocus
this.
is brought to you by Garage Build. Submit your build,
hell?
share
What
your
did you
passion.
do wrong?
Powered by Dennis Kirk.
He broke something. He lost the audio.
God, can we just look at the bike now?
Nope.
Oh,
We
come
can.
on.
I mean, we could talk about Jeff's bike. You can watch the whole video of this on Shop Talk tomorrow. I'm not sure what happened to the audio with it. This was incredible though. Like to see Jeff. The last few bikes that I've seen Jeff build were all super badass, totally, modern performance motorcycles. And when I heard that he was doing this, I was like, man. And he really did on all fronts. He killed it with this. He had some original SBF stuff on it, the engraving, the fact it was a panhead. I loved that it was a panhead. And he went out of his way, Mark. Every single, what did he call the type of hardware? He told me in a text message, every single piece of hardware, even the shock mounts and everything else, were Philister style. So all very old school and cool as hell. But Jeff, I apologize that your video got screwed up. It just I can't do anything right for Jeff right now. We misspelled his name wrong in the promo.
Fixed it. I fixed it.
Yeah, like an hour ago.
Well, I asked you.
Poor Jeff.
We love you, Jeff. I'm sorry I suck at spelling.
And your bike's fantastic.
Oh,
Your
it
bike is
is.
incredible.
It
Yes.
really is.
Dude.
So we're gonna have that in the magazine, and we're also it's on Greasing Gears TV as of tomorrow with audio. I promise you. But
What's your favorite kind of bike to build, Dave? Is it a digger? Would that be your preference?
Actually, between a digger and an FXR,
Yeah.
I love FXRs.
Yeah, I have an old one I'm fighting whether to keep or do something with, but
Give
I don't
it
know,
to Heather.
the diggers are getting more and more, like seeing people bringing them back again. They're starting to make me think that's something I'd be interested in owning.
somebody said we had Jeff's audio on Facebook, but again, I apologize for that. Yeah. Let's talk a minute about your this is your Born Free build here, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So tell us about this motorcycle.
Well, this frame, a friend of mine came to me and said, hey, somebody told me that they got a frame for sale. I said, well, what is it? He says, I don't know. It's brand new. I'm like, okay. So we drive to Brockton. We go to this guy's house. The guy comes to the door. I know the guy, right? Turns out I sold the guy this frame in 1993. He still had the original bill of sale from me from 93, but he never used it. It's a Ness rubber mount frame, 7/8 tube, 5-inch stretch. And so anyway, I bought the frame. It's an S&S 124 twin cam, a Baker 6-speed. That motor and tranny that's in it is just our dummy setup motor. But it's a Daytech swing arm, a Daytech double rail swing arm, Brock's wheels, carbon fiber wheels, Lindell's rotors, Hot Rod John, which is Metal Innovations. John supplied the MJK calipers, 49 millimeter front end with bare knuckle pawls, narrowed trees. It's got, I hope I don't forget anybody. The engine, Doug Baumgarten, he polished the engine, the tranny, a bunch of other components. The cylinders and heads are all pineapple cut.
Oh, nice.
Nick Trask supplied the cam cover. Let's see, who else do I need to give credit to? Well, anyways, the gas tank, I've got almost all the setup done on it. We've got the gas tank, the shell is done, and actually the bike right now is down at John's shop, and he's outfitting the gas tank with the fuel pump and all the fittings and stuff, the fuel injection. And he's going to make the seat pan for me. And actually, if Dwayne, if you're listening, Dwayne, I was going to give you a call to see if maybe you might be interested in doing the seat for me. It'd be cool to have a Dwayne Ballard seat on this bike for Born Free.
There you go.
But it's been a fun project. I've really put a lot of time in it. I'm trying to make sure that I cover all the bases as far as the setup. I mean, it's got a shitload of electrics that I've had to hide in place and move, and but it's coming along good. I hope to have it ready for paint in another week or so. And
look at that. Yeah. There's a little love from Dwayne right there. He says, "Send it out, buddy. Be an honor."
Okay.
Yep.
It would be really cool. I mean, I've had Dwayne do a lot of seats for me, mostly all Barber stuff. But Dwayne does an awesome job, man. He's one of definitely the masters of custom seats, especially the hand tool stuff. My God, it's beautiful. In fact, the bike that Jody's riding, her 50 Pan, she'd been riding that at most of the events in the last year or so, and Dwayne did the seat on that in, I want to say around 04. Dwayne did the seat on that one.
So I got to say, I'm liking the look of this right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a chopper that I just finished doing all the setup work on. It's got a 69 shovel motor. Actually, the motor came from Paul Cox.
Oh, yeah.
That thing is right up my alley, buddy.
I'm building that for a guy in New York. So we just tore it all down, and we're going to start on the paint next week on it and get it together. The guy wanted a very, very traditional, out of California in the 60s chopper.
Right on.
And so that's what we're trying to give him.
Hey, so a couple things here real quick. Professional Monkey mentioned to us that Willie G's initial version of the V-Rod, he said, was supposed to be Digger inspired. He actually said that was the code name for the project of the V-Rod was codenamed Digger. I can't put any credit to that, but was up in the comments. And there was a recurring question about the chrome moly tubing. David Crum wants to know, were the chrome moly frames heat treated?
No, they were not.
Now, I heard in Cory's interview about stuff that you guys were doing back then that was all, kind of like we're seeing with some of the guys like Daniel Heeman and stuff today, that's race car chassis inspired stuff that finds its way in.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, tubing that's got a 1/4-inch wall thickness is, I mean, man, that's pretty strong. It's going to take a lot to, that's never going to break. You can bend it, but it's not going to break.
Dennis Stauber, I want to know what thicknesses we need. Well, that was earlier in the show for 7/8 tubing, I'm assuming you're talking about. And I think you said quarter-inch wall thickness. It was thick. Professional Monkey says the Discovery Channel documentary on the birth of the V-Rod actually says that. So I'll have to go back and watch that again.
I think somebody had asked, how did you get into building bikes? What got you started? I can't remember.
Well, I used to work on cars from when I was a kid, and I get into building hot rod cars, and I always hung around with a bunch of older guys that were really into the the hot rod scene, and after a couple of years, they all kind of switched to bikes, and I went along with them.
Yeah,
never looked back.
Right on. Well, I hope everybody got as much out of this as we do. We've kept you way over time, but this has been a real treat for us, man. So thank you for being here and taking time to do this. Hopefully we can come up with something else as good as this and have you back on, because the amount of comments, I think by the time we got through the first couple fast bits of news, we had more comments than the last few shows. So everybody's really into it, and it's exciting, right? I mean, it seems like there's a digger movement at foot again.
Yeah, no, there definitely is, for sure.
Right on. All right, buddy. Well, thank you again for tuning us up on Sunday night and giving us a little reprieve from our digger madness.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me on, guys, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Dave.
See you, Dave.
Thanks, man.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, everybody, you're watching Shop Talk here on the Dennis Kirk Motorcycle Studio Network, and what an incredible show.
I feel like that could have been an 8-hour show
Oh, dude,
with just
that's-
him telling stories. So, like, he's got so many stories. Like, we didn't even scratch the surface.
Yeah, that was an hour and 20 minutes. It feels like it was 10 minutes. It was
Damn, like,
fantastic.
I have so many more questions. Like,
Me too.
Because it couldn't have been easy, like, back then to make a living doing this.
Not even just with the material that he had to work.
These guys didn't make a living at all.
Well, obviously he did, because look, 50 years later.
And did you watch Cory's interview? Because Cory's interview said it all. His dad was a painter.
Yeah.
That's what made the money.
Yep.
All the rest of it fed the motorcycle habit. You trade for parts and shit. I'm hip to that. So listen, man, we're going to take a quick commercial break. While we're out, I'm going to see if I can fix Jeff Zielinski's audio.
Yeah, we got to show that, because, dude, that's such a great bike.
So when we come back on the other side, maybe we'll look at that bike. Stick around. You're watching Shop Talk. Now, none of my audio is working.
But it's working on their end. You just can't hear it.
You did or something?
It must be. Oh, here it is. Nope, that's not it.
Now you broke it. Now.
Yeah, see, it's not working
Well,
at all.
stop touching buttons. What did you do? Like, you broke it.
It's just not working. The audio's not working for.
The screen went black. The audio, like, you killed it us.
Sort of. You're gonna have to sing a song now.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Now what? What can we do?
I don't know.
What can we do now?
Everything went bad.
Whoops.
It's totally not my fault.
Well, let's do some small talk on what you guys have been doing then. You two.
Okay, that's working. Like all of a sudden, don't tell me this is flood damage.
Oh, sweet Jesus!
Oh, good
my
Lord,
God.
no.
Out of Focus is brought to you by Garage Build.
Okay,
Submit
here's
your
Jeff
build.
Zielinski's feature bike. I'll be damned.
Holy
Stick around.
hell,
You're
it's a
watching
miracle.
Shop Talk.
name is Jeff Zielinski. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I got into the Hamsters organization back in 2004, and I've always loved the style of digger motorcycle. And some of the guys that I've always looked up to, like Arlen Ness, Dave Perewitz, and Donnie Smith, had some incredible bikes back when I was a wee lad. So my goal someday was to be able to pay some sort of tribute to those guys and thank them for their inspiration. It's an S&S bottom end pan head that I bought used from a guy who was going to rebuild it. It's an early shovel FL frame that Rob Roll and Donnie Smith stretched and raked. Found the girder front end on Chopper Swapper, believe it or not. I was told by Perewitz that the best thing to do on a bike like this was use a pan head swing arm, so we did that. Cut and widened it almost an inch on the left side so we could hide the sproder. Bars were made by RKB, did a killer job, and most of it was done in-house. The motor and transmission was done by my right-hand man, Mike Allerton. This gas tank was made by Bob Monroe, who made all of Arlen's sheet metal, and unfortunately it wasn't a positive thing, but meeting Bob for the first time in person at Arlen Ness's funeral in Dublin, California, he said he would make me one, and I'm very fortunate that Bob made this for me. This is a real deal OG, and it was one of his last because he retired. He won't build anything anymore. The rear fender was a fender blank that I got from Russ Wernemont, and I already had a Sportster digger fender that Arlen and Cory had from back in the day that I made a template and made it out of steel. So this fender, believe it or not, is a replica of a original fiberglass Arlen Ness. Denny Aurelia did the graving on the front end and the struts. These were some like custom chrome blind hole struts. We had to strip the chrome, polish the steel, send it to Denny so he can engrave it. For me, it is a dream come true that I was able to do this with one of my close friends, Cory Ness. I asked him to do this with us, and to be with all my other friends in the group is just, it's so cool because it's something that I've always wanted to do. I've gotten some comments on like, hey, it looked like it came out of the Bay Area in 1970. Michael Lichter, actually, I showed him a picture because he was asking me about it in Daytona. These are original strut shocks from Smith Brothers in Fetro. We cut them, modified them, extended them. We added about 1.5 inches. Then we cut the bottoms off and welded on angle steel, 3/8 thick, because I made my own strut, or I should say shock tower bolts, so that I could suck the shocks as close to the frame as possible, because the digger style is skinny and long and low. Thanks to a good friend of mine, Christine LaPera, she made this seat for me, so I made a seat pan out of some pieces of the rear fender and a piece of sheet metal that I bought from McMaster Car, cut out the template and riveted the tang on the back, the seat bolt, and sent it to Christine, and we went back and forth numerous times and sent her the buttons, and she wasn't sure about the buttons. She was worried about the braking, and it turned out really, really well. I think I've got lots of compliments on this. So they are Versace. It's Jeff Zielinski from NAM's Custom Cycle Products in the suburbs of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and you're watching Grease and Gears.
The only thing standing between you and the open road is some garage time with the right parts and accessories to make your motorcycle roar. And that's why riders everywhere choose DennisKirk.com, the one stop you need to get your Harley back on the road. Our knowledgeable tech staff will help you navigate our more than 185,000 parts, apparel, and accessories that are ready to ship today, with free shipping on all orders over $89. So tune up your ride and get ready for the next adventure. Ride more, wait less. Dennis Kirk.
Hey
Hey, I'm Ron Fleener.
All right.
Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay, we dropped his
Flea's Color Factory. You're watching Shop Talk.
Renamed him.
All right, welcome back to the Dennis Kirk Motorcycle Studio.
I have a question.
I have a complaint, first of all. and I'm going to complain on behalf of all of our viewers who are watching me screw the show up right after I had a It's been so long since I'm sitting at the control like this that I got so flustered when that video wouldn't play the audio. Instead of looking around and seeing what button was accidentally hit, my whole mind just went to shit. But I'm back.
It happens.
So
shake it off.
I'm back.
So Evil Rick emailed me during the show.
Okay.
And wants to know if anybody knows who built this motorcycle.
Okay, we'll wait for comments from the viewers.
Anyone? Bueller? Dude, Jeff Zielinski
I hope Jeff
it.
stuck around and actually got to see
Probably
his video.
not.
But if not,
And I see Gary spelled his name right.
I'm going to remind
Gary,
you
we're
guys
fighting.
that as of tomorrow morning, you will be able to see both Jeff and Cory's brand new digger builds on Grease and Gears TV, and not just the short versions that we have here that are only like 4 minutes long. I think Cory's was around 11 or 12 minutes, and Jeff's kind of up there too. So
Did you see the engraving on Jeff's bike? Like,
yeah,
No,
dude.
Rob, he's not allowed to go to Ole.
the whole thing is off the charts.
So another thing I want to bring up, as long as we have the computer screen up on, we didn't go through any Dave's contact stuff.
Oh.
So we want to remind you that you can get to Dave on Facebook, YouTube. They got great stuff on YouTube. Some of Dave's programming, like, we love every time we get a chance to put some of it on Grease and Gears TV. Instagram, always active. These are probably the pineapple cut cylinders he's talking about for his Born Free bike. Yeah, buddy.
The old Dougie polishers.
Dave is a bad dude, man.
Yeah.
He really is. Look at that. I want a old school paint job from him like this someday. Just black with those goddamn flames.
Jeff is watching. You can apologize again.
Right on. I apologize, Jeff. And I see how to spell your name, but that's Zielinski. Did I get the Jeff part right?
Yeah.
Because
Is it
if you know me, Jeff.
Oh, goodness gracious.
What a bike, though. Dude, that thing is off the charts.
I was busting his balls hardcore in Arizona, too. I kept asking him, I'm like, who helped you out with this?
Yeah.
Which one of the old guys took you to school? But he's been an admirer, like he said in his video. You
can bust his balls all you want. He just has to point to the bike and smile.
Yeah, and say, shut up. Right on. Well, listen, man, we're definitely over time. How fast can you go through the events, Blondie?
Oh, there's a lot of them.
Oh,
you gonna go fast?
I can try.
Here we go.
Speed talk.
The Shop Talk events calendar is brought to you by the Bikers Info app, the Everything Bikers app.
Biker. Here we go.
Ooh. I put this one in there courtesy for Professional Monkey. Leesburg Bike Fest next week, Leesburg, Florida. Be there. Easy peasy, go. Backroad Barbecue Run, May 3rd through 5th, 2024, Trenton, North Carolina. Backroadbarbecuerun.com. She Rides Moto, May 9th through 12th, somewhere in Tennessee. Check it out. Blah, blah, blah. Tennessee Motorcycle and Music Revival, May 16th through 19th. Lorellin's Ranch, Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. Inaugural.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
This is I'm going to take a minute for this one.
Okay, Jesus.
Sorry. So this is the inaugural Lunch Lady Ride. My dear friend Janine and I, Moto Women 24/7, are doing a ride. We're going to start doing them hopefully at multiple places across the country to raise money to provide lunches to kids that otherwise would go hungry at school or during their summers. So this is at TMMR Friday the 17th. Kickstands up at 2 o'clock. It's going to be a 2-hour ride. We're going to provide sacks of snacks because it's after lunchtime. Donations are encouraged but not required. Come ride with us. RiverCityBikeExpo.com. 3 days, 1 ticket. Check them out. They're our good friends from Pinup Baggers. They put on a great show.
RiverCityBikeExpo.com.
Tunnel to Towers, Poker Run, and Veteran Support Rally, and Mount Holly, New Jersey, July 13th. Go.
Born Free.
And June 22nd and 23rd. Check them out, bornfreeshow.com. Motoblot, June 21st through 23rd, Chicago, Illinois. Reverend Horton Heat is playing. I'm so bummed.
Itchy Bun.
Itchy Bum?
The Soap Girls?
Your butt's itchy?
The Soap Girls. Are those the real Soap Girls from the Renaissance Festival?
It's probably
not.
It may be.
AMA Vintage Motorcycle Days, Mid-Ohio, July 22nd through 24th. Go check them out. Why are they there twice?
Again? That's bullshit.
Wow, I suck. Go ahead. Keep going. Fuel Cleveland. That's the wrong flyer. Gosh darn.
Wow,
dang.
Heather.
Fuel Cleveland. I'm sorry, Mikey. Fuel Cleveland. I was trying to find one the right size. Just go.
Professional Monkey, can she mention Nitty Gritty even though it's already over just so we can have fun?
Because I always get tongue-tied. I'm fighting with you two. Shut your mouth. Vintage Soul Show, July 27th at Doherty's Tavern in Prior Lake, Minnesota. Put on by our good buddy Teach. Booyah! Harley Homecoming, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Jelly Roll. July 25th through 28th in beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
I hear the motors firing up. Everybody's getting ready to
Smoke
leave.
out. Okay, that's it. Good. Smoke out. Done. Kaput.
We're out.
Wait a minute. There's one more.
Ooh. You can do that one again, too.
Born Free.
October 17th through 20th, 2024 at the Yellow Rose Canyon in Texas.
Oh, Jesus. I promise you we're going to try to get our shit together better for next week.
Oh, hey, I want to know what everyone thinks about the Comancheros for Smoke Out.
Yeah. Hey, how about that? What do you think,
what
Mark?
is it?
The Comancheros.
It's
Check
a band.
them out. They're
it's
pretty
a band.
good. They don't suck.
I don't know.
We're looking for input on this year's music. We have a bunch of great stuff lined up already, but we're really thinking about hiring the Comancheros.
There's one band. The kids are like 20 years old. They are gonna blow your effing mind.
I'm telling you right now.
Blow your mind
right now. Like the musicianship is insane.
Yep.
Hey, but listen, man. Thank you. Have to tell you guys, like, Sunday nights are the highlight of everything that we do here. Getting to share this stuff with you. Getting to share stuff like having the honor to bring somebody like Dave on and talk about the history of diggers and the memories that we get to share. This is the best for us. So thank you so much to all our sponsors up in the corner, all of you guys for tuning in. But remember, every Sunday, 9 p.m., kind of close to 9, kind of every Sunday.
Cycle source time.
But we love being here doing it. So if you want to help us do the share thing, tune in.
And sharing is caring.
And until next week when we come back with more motorcycle bullshit than we can fit in 90 to 120 minutes. Same chopper time.
Same chopper channel.
Glad to be back, Felicia.
He said it. He said the words.